Toyota recently came out with some news of their big plans moving forward in the industry. So some actual proper plans we're seeing from them. With some new vehicles, 10 of them, that are full EVs. But also, they mentioned some really large numbers. That is really interesting. So they're planning to sell millions of EVs within a handful of years from now, which is totally different to what they've been doing now. They only sold 24,000 last year. So they've got some plans. Let's look into that and break it down a bit. This year, on April 7th, 2023, Toyota unveiled its slightly ambitious plan to introduce 10 new battery-powered models targeting sales of 1.5 million EVs per year by 2026, which is astonishing, isn't it? Given that they only sold 20-something thousand last year. This announcement marks a really big ramp up in Toyota's transition to electrification, aiming for steep growth in the EV market in quite a short amount of time, I think, just 2 or 3 years. Before we go through what exactly they said, I'm Ben Alexander. If you are new here, thank you for tuning in, and I talk about EV news every day, so please remember to subscribe so that YouTube starts to show you my posts and my videos whenever I put them out on a daily basis, because if you like this one, you'll probably like some of my other ones too. If you want to help out the video a little bit, just press the like button for me so that YouTube spreads it around a bit more on the platform. Among the highlights of this announcement from Toyota, there are going to be 10 new EV models, and Toyota are set to alter the look of them a fair bit in the EV lineup in the future, altering a range of models to cater for different market segments like hatchbacks, SUVs, compact SUVs, wagons, that sort of thing. Their solid-state batteries, Toyota is also working on high-performance solid-state batteries to improve driving range and charging speed, and I imagine the longevity is going to be quite good, even though that's not a huge concern these days, I don't think. They have been saying a few times recently, since 2019, then 2017, and then a couple of times since then, they've been saying they're on the verge of a breakthrough with their, solid-state batteries. But it is doable. It is reasonable to expect it at some point soon. They're going to start producing vehicles in the US so they can sell them to the US. Generally, they like to produce cars, Toyota, closer to or in the place where they're going to sell the cars. So sort of showcasing its commitment to local production. I think it's more for their benefit, though. They are building a battery plant as well. Additionally, Toyota are investing huge money in this new battery plant, which is crucial, I think, for them to meet their EV production goals. In April of 2021, Toyota did sign the agreement with BYD. If some of you remember, I'd mentioned this in the past. They said they were going to buy some of the batteries and the motors and the controllers for their Toyotas, but not long after that, Toyota did actually say that they will make their own batteries long term. So transitioning to electric vehicles is a huge task for any automaker, obviously. It's not just swap a couple of bits and put a motor in instead of an engine. It's basically an overhaul of the vehicles themselves. Toyota seem to be actually embracing it for the first time. They are just very, very, very late to the party. So I think by investing in new technologies, ramping up production, and committing to this whole new range that they've obviously put a lot of thought into, Toyota is positioning itself as a big player in the future market for EVs. So there's actual positive signs here. No doubt they will actually do okay, but they just move slower than other brands and tend to focus on building better vehicles as opposed to more vehicles, I think. So they could probably produce more if they produce crapper cars, but they produce good cars. So with their clear roadmap that they put out, Toyota's electrification journey is, I think it's underway. So certainly Toyota's relatively slow transition to electric vehicles can be attributed to a few things, I think. Toyota may have been a bit cautious at first to alter their vehicles, and they have had a lot of hybrid success. Toyota has been a pioneer in hybrid technology with its Prius, for example, and its other hybrid models now. Seems like half of them are hybrids. And that's globally. The success of their hybrid models possibly made Toyota a bit more cautious about diving headfirst into the fully electric market. Maybe they had some insight into how complicated it can be. They likely don't want to upset the status quo as well, as it were. They've probably got huge amounts of liabilities thousands of staff, lots of bills. They are managing, they're literally managing what's going in and what's going out. At what point do they decide to really swerve things? And that seems like it's now. They've likely been waiting for battery technology to get cheaper whilst working on their solid state technology, although they have been saying for years, like I said earlier, that it is coming. There's a big breakthrough in their battery technology. It can charge 900 kilometers in 10 minutes, and that's just never come through, has it? So no idea if we will see a solid state battery in a Toyota by 2027 when they say, but they have said they will start selling some at some point with solid state batteries in. Personally, I believe it when I see it, and I think it's possible by 2030, but I absolutely don't think 26, 27. I don't think that's going to happen. So I just haven't seen any tangible evidence of it other than, some tweets or a couple of comments here and there. So no evidence to suggest it's coming in the next 2 or 3 years. Cattle, or CATL, earlier in the year announced that they're going to be putting into production their new, more dense battery. I think it's like 40% more dense than in energy than Tesla's current best, if I remember the number right, which is pretty great. So they will get cheaper and they will get more energy dense. The market readiness for EVs has been growing steadily, but has taken time for consumer attitudes to really permeate, I think, to shift towards, EVs and fully embracing electric cars. Toyota might have been monitoring market trends, most likely, and consumer preferences before deciding on the right time to make a significant investment in EVs. And it makes sense to do this, although even relative to other companies that took this approach, they were very slow. So I think they maybe just held off as long as possible. But now they know maybe how the first few months and years have gone for other manufacturers. They have effectively let other companies stir up the desire for EVs and spend their money, and other companies have basically allowed Toyota to now identify, at no cost to them really, just what people do and don't want from EVs, which bits really annoy people. So maybe this is a part of a big plan from Toyota. Maybe they just were very slow. They're just taking a bit of a chill approach. But also in a way, and rightfully so, Toyota have been saying that they think people should have a choice in what fuels their vehicles. And I think that is absolutely fine. We can't just go telling the entire world, you must have a battery in your car, even though it's basically a waste of money to research and develop any more petrol or hybrid or diesel stuff. The world has clearly made this decision to go with electric vehicles primarily in the future. Next year, Toyota want to sell more than 200,000 EVs. They only sold 22 or 24,000 last year. They want to sell 200,000 next year. And in 2025, they want to triple it to 600,000, which you have to say is ambitious. And however corny that might sound, it is a bit ambitious. They're going to, from almost none to hundreds of thousands in a matter of a year or two. That's the sort of clout that only a company, the sort of company like Toyota, could aim for. So by 2030, they aim to have sold a total of 3.5 million electric vehicles, which is about 1/3 of their total output currently. So last year, Toyota and Lexus sold 24,466 fully electric EVs, which represents 0.26% of all of their sales. So what is happening is that Toyota have now altered their action plan, and they will now be a part, I think, of the future for us, which I was getting a bit concerned for. I love Toyotas. They're fantastic. Their cars generally go for 20 years. The old CEO for Toyota, called Akio Toyoda, not with a T at the end, there's a D, was 67 years old and decided to leave his role as CEO for this year. And in his words, it's a bit of a paraphrase, he's an old-fashioned guy and he should step down and let someone younger step into his shoes and take Toyota into the future. So this new CEO is 53 years old, a bloke called Koji Sato, and since he's stepped into his shoes, Toyota has really started making waves and seemingly embraced EVs much more than it was when Akio was around. So the new plans from Toyota in their new generation roadmap that they put out include advanced electric models due out in 2026 or so, with nearly 500 miles or 800 kilometers range, apparently. Earlier this week, Toyota unveiled its upcoming EV production line. So they showed you, it's got a giga casting machine and other stuff around it, autonomous assembly lines, robots for transporting completed vehicles, and these innovations are aimed at reducing cost and boosting production. The newly appointed head of Lexus brand, Takashi Watanabe, stated that Lexus will lead the charge in Toyota's forthcoming EV initiative. So Watanabe expressed that they will humbly observe and draw insight from Tesla's manufacturing successes as they gear up to, compete in this new era of electric vehicles. Obviously, it has been said before that Toyota are ramping up production, but this time I just suspected it is the real deal. The world could actually do with some electric Toyota models. People love Toyota. They sell loads of cars, and they have done for decades, but those people that want an electric one haven't had the option to buy one, which is a bit sad. And there are people that pretty much only want to drive Toyota. They just love Toyotas. I know people like that. They might have had multiple Toyotas over the years, which would be sad if the future they had to go elsewhere. But honestly though, vehicles from BYD and Volvo, some other companies, can be a really, really good alternative, I think. And if not just for a couple of years until Toyota start to actually chuck vehicles from their factories. Thanks to the people that have joined on Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, YouTube memberships. Links to these will be in the description below. They're about $3 a month, but Buy Me a Coffee is just a one-off thing. And it's the cheapest, easiest way to help, though, is just by pressing the like button. So remember to subscribe for my daily videos about electric vehicle news around the world.